My name is Dr. Chérie Carter-Scott, and I've been coaching and training coaches for 40 years, since 1974. I was going through a premature midlife crisis, and I didn't know what I had to offer and what I should be doing with my life, and I was really floundering. My mother had died when I was 20. My father remarried and moved away. I didn't know where to turn for the answers. I was confused. I kept asking other people, what do you think I should do? What do you think I should do? Everybody had an opinion for me. They all had advice. They all had suggestions and great ideas, only nothing really connected with me. And then a friend of mine called me and he said, you know, I'd really like you to consult me about my business. I said, well, thanks very much. That's a very nice compliment, but I'm trying to figure out the purpose of my life. He said, oh, okay. And he called 3 times, and whenever anything happens to me 3 times in a row, I stop, look, and listen, and pay attention. So I said to him, why are you calling me? He said, because I trust you. I said, well, that's very nice, but I don't know anything. He said, that could come in handy. I said, you're willing to pay me your hard-earned money knowing full well that I know nothing? He said, that's right. I said, I'll accept. Fine. He was my first client. And when I was coaching him about his company, I started seeing things that I had gotten in these messages. And I saw growth and development, working with people, helping them as a catalyst. Okay, catalyst, helping people in their growth and development. Yeah, that's what a coach is. It's somebody who helps people find their own inner truth and embrace it and get the blocks out of the way and make the seemingly impossible happen. That's what a coach does with people. And when I saw this, that I was capable of doing this with him, I thought, this is great. But then he started talking to people about this wonderful woman who asked these great questions. And then I started getting nervous, you know, because I really knew I really didn't know anything. I was convinced of that. And so people would call me, can you? I said, just as long as we're clear that I don't know anything. I'm not going to tell you what to do. I'm not going to give you direction. I'm not going to sort out the answers for you. I really don't know. I said, fine, fine, fine. And it just was unbelievable. It started multiplying people, places, programs, things. 7 years, everything doubled in size. And I thought to myself, you know, my father asked me what I was doing, and I said, well, I'm helping people find their own answers that are inside somewhere beneath the confusion, doubt, uncertainty, and fear, and I'm helping them connect with those, that inner knowing inside them, so that they can trust themselves, believe in themselves, and go for their dreams. He said, it'll never work. It'll never work. You have to tell people something different. You can't have them find out what they already know. I said, yeah, well, they know it, but it's just obscured. It's like cutting the hair on the back of your head. It's there. You know it's there. You know it needs a cut, but you can't really see it. And even if you have a mirror, it's not quite the same. So a coach helps you see those areas, those little blind spots that you can't see on your own. And so for me, coaching is something that came to me as a vision of something I was capable of doing that I didn't know I could do. Like discovering you can sit down and play the piano and you can play Mozart without ever having had a lesson. I had something inside me that was really useful to people. And the core of it was knowing that I didn't know for them. There are a lot of different methods of coaching. And our type of coaching is very pure. And the pureness of it is that we have this natural curiosity that actually probes the person's vision, strategy, action plans, any blocks or obstacles that are in the way, and lets them be the brilliant person that they are about their own life. And so the probing, the curiosity, the gentleness, the support, the suspending of judgment, the connection, the encouragement, the validation, the building on the successes, all those things are encouraging this person to be absolutely brilliant about their life that they know better than anybody else. If you look at coaching, it's about change. And when people go through transitions, it's redefining themselves from who they were to who they're becoming. And in that stage, that transition, that gap, if you will, that person is looking at I'm not who I was, I'm not who I'm going to be, and I'm going through this birth canal of confusion, doubt, uncertainty, and fear to becoming who I am emerging into. And that whole process is what coaching is, because each one of us is growing continuously. Now, what happens to us is at certain points we think that's enough. That's enough growing. I'm there. I'm not going to grow anymore. I'll just take the picture now and freeze. And the point here is that we are constantly growing. And sometimes the growing has growing pains attached to it. We can see that in teenagers. But lots of times as adults, we don't really see the growing pains. It's like, who am I going to be if I'm not who I was? You're going to be who you're becoming. But I don't have anything to hold on to. And what if? And then they start imagining the fears and the uncertainties and all the unpredictables. Well, it's all true. It's absolutely true. But it depends on where you put the emphasis. And a lot of people put the emphasis on the insecurity, the uncertainty, the lack of familiarity. They won't put the emphasis on, I'm fulfilling my purpose. I'm becoming who I was meant to be. I am emerging into my very best self. They want to cling to what was as opposed to embracing what could be. Well, coaching isn't so much about the guiding part, but it is about the trusting the transition. Because the transition is never comfortable. It's uncomfortable to not know. And as most of us want to have that end in sight and to feel secure and stable in that place where we've arrived. We don't like being in that transition of emerging. We want to have arrived. We don't like the journey. We want to be there. And coaching is managing the gap between here and there. And you always have to have a there to be able to manage a gap. Otherwise, you can't coach, because that's part of the definition of coaching. You have to have that definition of where you are presently and where it is that you ideally want to be able to manage that gap in the process. And there are 3 stages in that gap. Number 1 is clarifying what that vision is, that there. Number 2 is the strategizing between here and there. And number 3 is the support that's required when you come up against the yeah buts in life. Yeah, but I can't. Yeah, but it's too much. Yeah, but I didn't sign up for this. Yeah, but that's not who I am. Yeah, but this is way, way bigger than I ever imagined. All those yeah buts require support. And the job of a coach is not done until the there is manifested. The ideal coaching client is somebody who's willing to go through the process and who's willing to do their homework, who's willing to tell the truth, who's willing to do what they need to do, even when they don't want to, especially, and to be able to say what's on their mind, say what's in their feelings, say what they like and they don't like. It's a real relationship, a partnership between 2 people, one who's going somewhere and the other who's supporting them in getting there. Not everybody is coachable. And the people who are not coachable are the people who are unwilling. The people who are clinging to the past, clinging to the way it has been, clinging to their old identity. The people who are saying, I can't because. You see, there are a couple pieces in the process. Number 1, you have to be willing to believe in yourself, and you have to be willing to go for it. So it's knowing what you want and believing you can have it. There are people who say, I don't know what I want, and even if I did, I couldn't have it anyway. They're uncoachable. And ultimately, as a coach, I don't want to be doing dental work on somebody who I have to pull their teeth out to get them to see, believe, and go for what they want. It's just too much work. And so I like to ascertain, is somebody willing to go for it, to see it, see what they want, to map out a plan, and to really go through all the discomfort of growing into what it is that they want. That's not easy, but that's the ideal client, somebody who has that willingness to go for it. Whether it's easy or it's difficult, it doesn't necessarily indicate a sign that it shouldn't happen. See, sometimes the universe gives us tests, and the tests make things more difficult than they have to be. And if you're willing to go through the test, that means that you've passed. Sometimes it's easy, sometimes it's difficult. It just depends. If it's difficult, it's just part of the process. And for some people it's easier, and for other people it's more difficult. I happen to have one of those lives that it's been more difficult at times, but I think for me, what it does is it makes me more compassionate with other people who have difficulty. In other words, if everything were easy, and they have a phrase called a Sunday child, everything comes easily, everything is easy, it's no problem, then how do you have compassion for somebody who's struggling with something? You don't. You look at them and you say, what's the matter with you? So for me, every challenge that I've been through has opened up the door for me to be more compassionate with other people who are not having an easy time of things. And so it's made me a better coach. I have a coach, and I always get coached on every situation that I feel I'm stuck or I can't get there. So when I was learning to fly a plane, I was going through a process. It took me 10.5 months to get to the point where I was ready to take my check ride. I had done all my computer work, I'd done all my book learning, my maneuvers, everything, and I was ready to go for it, the final piece in my private pilot's license. And my instructor went down in a crash and died. I needed a coach at this moment because I couldn't deal with it myself. First of all, there was the shock. Secondly, there was the, what do I do now? What do I do now? The guy who was teaching me to do something died in the process of doing exactly what he was teaching me to do. Is this a death sentence? Should I go for this? Should I quit? Is this a sign? Is this a test? What is it? Why am I being given this test? Because not everybody who goes through their pilot's license has their instructor die while flying a plane. My God, it was freaky. So what happened to me is I called my coach and I said, I need a session. I can't get out of my own way. I am so stuck in my head, I can't even find me in here. So the session was really great because it was looking at what was my initial purpose for learning to fly. What did this incident mean to me? And what was my inner truth beyond my mind, my confusion, doubt, uncertainty, and fear of this process? And for me, it was take this as a sign, a wake-up call to be doubly diligent. Don't quit, but be smart about it. Be very, very smart about taking care and to make the right decisions at the right time about go, no go. And I got back in the plane and I flew and I got my private pilots, I got my instrument rating, and I flew for another 10 years. But it was something that was really, really big in front of me and I couldn't get through it on my own. I just couldn't. I usually know what my objective is because it's the thing that's right in front of my face. It's the thing that I keep coming back to, that I'm stuck on, that keeps recurring, that keeps showing up. It could be a point of resistance, or it could be denial, or it could be the challenge, or the thing I don't want to do. It's the thing that's the next step that I need to take to be able to demonstrate that I'm in the game, that I have the courage, that I have the willingness, that I'm really going for it, that I'm standing up, that I'm speaking up, that I'm showing up for what I believe in and what I'm all about. And that's not easy to do, because in our lives, who wants to stand up, show up, and speak up every day? I mean, that's tough. But lots of the time it requires that kind of courage, that somebody else who can say to you, come on, you've got what it takes, go for it. It's like, you really think so? Yeah, okay, all right. I believe you, let's go for it. And in coaching, sometimes you really have to believe in your client more than they believe in themselves, because we don't always believe in ourselves in that new dimension of ourselves. It's bigger than the old self, and it requires us to go more miles, bigger energy, bigger strength. And there's that little part that says, it goes, I don't want to. I'm not enough, I'm not big enough, I'm scared, I'm too little. And it's like, yeah, okay, fine, now come on, let's go. So if you believe that life is about growing yourself into all that you can be, going for all your dreams, making your visions, dreams, and goals become a reality, and fulfilling your destiny here, coaching is absolutely part of the process. In 1974, when I started coaching professionally, I made the prediction, someday this is going to be a profession. And I knew it. In my bones, I knew it. I knew it because we have more choices in our lives now than we ever had before. We have more options. We have so much bombardment of stimuli and things that are coercing us to move in different directions. I just knew that coaching was the thing that was going to help us be able to make those choices that are difficult to make. But I didn't know how to create a new profession on my own. And so the universe provided all these opportunities and all these people who believed that we could help each other get there. When I say the universe, I mean the kind of collective unconscious that we all share together. I do believe in God. I do believe in angels. I've had experiences of past lives. I've had experiences with people who have passed over, who've come back and visited me, including my mother, my father, my ex-business partner, a lot of people who have come back and visited me for various different moments in time. So I'm a big believer in the world beyond here. And so for me, I don't like to superimpose my belief system on anybody else. I don't tell people, you've got to believe in God. I don't happen to think that that's true. I want people to believe in whatever is true for them, and to be able to open the door of possibility for them to be able to explore what's next for them in their reality, in their belief system, in their framework. And so that's what I'm doing, is I'm constantly opening up doors of possibility, just doors of possibility, so that they can see what's next for them to see in their own evolution. So for me, the universe represents possibilities. I believe that the answers are inside each one of us. Firmly believe that. I also believe that sometimes these messages come from angels, people who have crossed over, people who are in a different non-physical plane, who are whispering in our ears and saying, turn left. And you go, why? Turn left. I don't get it. Turn left. What's left? Turn left. Okay, I'll turn left, all right. All right, I'll turn left. But what's left? And then you'd find out what's left, because you didn't know. And you didn't want to do it because it was irrational, illogical, unreasonable, and it didn't make any sense with my to-do list. But the message was turn left. And I had to trust it to be able to find out what was on the other side of left, because there's something there for me to learn that I couldn't rationally figure out on my own. Coaching is about opening the door of possibility for another person to make the choice to walk through. Love yourself, trust your choices, and everything is possible. Coaching is about learning to listen to yourself, to hear what you're saying, to trust yourself, to believe in yourself, and to go for your dreams. Because when you go for your dreams, you fulfill your life's purpose. I'm involved in the coaching movie because I believe in coaching. I believe that coaching helps people be able to find themselves, find their voice, find their truth, find their answers, believe in themselves, trust themselves, and go for their dreams. Because it's in going for your dreams that you actually fulfill your purpose on earth. And then we have a world filled with people who are much happier, satisfied, loving than anything else that I can imagine. I love coaching, and I'm so excited that we're doing the coaching movie because it's an idea whose time has finally come. Back in '74, I don't know if anybody else was coaching at that time. I know I was, and people were kind of mystified by how you could find your answers within just by a person asking you these open-ended questions, with suspending judgment, making a safe environment, and helping them be able to listen and trust and believe in themselves. You fast forward and people started coaching with different sports, and that was very familiar. And then there was the International Coach Federation that started in the 90s, and then different organizations, and then people started saying, well, are you a certified coach? And do you have your certification? And you know, it started creating standards expectations, so that people would have a certain level of expertise as opposed to maybe behaving unethically or misusing the power. Today, it's 40 years later, and coaching is something that lots of people have misconceptions about, but it's ultimately not telling people what to do, but it's encouraging them to be able to find their own answers within themselves. And that's beautiful.